And yes, I probably will change her name now that I have admitted this to you. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Just another struggling writer. The beleaguered author's one-stop shop for commiseration and hopefully inspiration. My name is Carrie Scher, and I am just another struggling writer. Well, today I was supposed to be bringing you a week in my life vlog, but unfortunately I chose a really bad week to try to vlog. I had several things going on, including my son's birthday and my dad being in town, and it just didn't end up working out. So instead, what I thought I would do, in light of all my new friends and followers on the channel, I thought I would do a reintroduction of my current work in progress. You may recall a few months ago I did a reintroduction of me for anyone who was not around at the start of the channel, and I think now, 6 months on from starting my current work in progress, is a good time to bring everyone into the fold and update them on what I am currently working on. I have an entire playlist of videos about the writing journey I have been on since starting this project, including the selection process of what project I would be starting. The playlist is linked here in the cards, but there is a lot of videos, so if you don't have that much time, or if you just want to get up to speed really quickly, this video is for you. Reintroducing my current work in progress. It is tentatively titled Seekers of Empyrean, but I don't actually want that to be the name of the book. I sort of envision that as the name of the series. And it is a urban/contemporary fantasy featuring magic, cults, and a secret government agency. The sort of one-sentence synopsis I have come up with is: a young woman with a rare magical talent is hired by a secret government agency to track down a rogue magic wielder hell-bent on destruction. One of the key features of Seekers of Empyrean is that secret government agency. It's kind of the linchpin of the whole project. And to be honest with you, I don't think I would have made it this far into the project if I hadn't come up with a name for this agency that I thought was really cute and clever. So the name of the agency is the Department of Occult Registration and Reconnaissance, but everyone there just calls it The Door. And listen, I am actually really bad at coming up with names. It is the thing that I dread the most when I am working on a project. And so when I hit upon that, I felt like a genius. And I don't care if it's too cutesy. I don't care if there's technically only one O, which is a lowercase o, and two R's. I don't care. It's The Door. So what is The Door? The Door was established like 100 years ago upon the realization that magic was a real thing and that it could be utilized for the government. So instead of rehashing the Salem witch trials, the government at the time decided to instead establish an agency for magic users, primarily to keep the existence of magic out of the public eye. As time has worn on, that mission has grown, and they now provide resources for people who discover that they have magic. They provide another arm of law enforcement for magic users who are breaking the law, and they have their very own R&D section as well. One of the hardest parts about writing the secret government agency is trying to make it make sense in the context of a real world government. Magic users in this world make up a very small fraction of the population, and those who work for the Door make up an even smaller fraction of that fraction. And yet I want to feel like it's a busy hub of activity with lots of different moving parts and lots of different fingers and different pies, and doing all of these things that an actual government agency would do. In my original vision of the Door, I had my main character reporting directly to the head secretary, and I eventually had to kind of pare that back because I realized it didn't make sense. There would be several layers of bureaucracy between the main character, who is just getting freshly hired as a contractor for a special mission, and the top dog. I've also had to kind of branch out from what the Door originally was, which was just law enforcement, and add in other aspects like a legal department and a resource center, research and development. All of those things were added on after my initial like attempt at drafting this project, like a year ago now. It was just over maybe 18 months ago now. And honestly, I'm still in the first draft, and I'm sure I still have a lot to flesh out and cover with this agency. And that is one of the exciting things about this first draft is I am teaching myself more and more and more about this agency and what they do and the kind of inner workings of it as we go. My main character in this story is a young early 20s woman named Arceli Fonseca. She is a second generation Mexican immigrant, and I was very intentional about choosing to make my main cast extremely diverse, starting with my main character. That is something I am always trying to be intentional about. I don't want to write just a cast of white characters, but with something like contemporary fantasy, I also have to be very careful about not stepping on the toes of Mexican authors themselves and not telling their stories. So while it's important to establish that Arceli is Mexican, I don't want to make this a Mexican story because that is not mine to tell. So there are elements of Mexican magic that I do reference in the story, but it is not the main focus. Arceli is also an orphan. She lost her father to cancer at a young age, which unfortunately caused her mom to kind of spiral, and she disappeared from her life when she was a teenager. She now lives with her grandmother in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where she kind of has been struggling. She and her grandmother don't really get along that well, partially because of Arceli's magic. Her grandmother, who is affectionately called Yaya, is extremely fearful that once someone finds out Arceli has magic, she will be whisked away by the government or by nefarious entities, never to be seen again. So she has impressed upon Arceli the importance of hiding her magic at all costs, and that has caused friction between them. At the start of the story, Arceli meets a representative from the secret government agency named Maxwell Liu. Maxwell is an agent of the Door. He is from American Samoa, and he is just the most friendly and charming person. He's like a giant teddy bear, a big guy, but super friendly and caring, and really wants to help Arceli along on her journey. Another character I am really excited about is the person at the door who will be training Arceli in her magic, and her name is Ming, and I have shamelessly based her on the real-world actress Ming-Na Wen, and more specifically her character from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which a lot of this story and this world is inspired by. And yes, I probably will change her name now that I have admitted this to you, but when I think of Ming, my character, I can't help but just call her Ming because she is so heavily inspired by Ming-Na Wen. Love you, Ming. The director of the law enforcement arm of the Door is Annalise Young. She is Arceli's direct boss, and she's kind of a hard ass, as you would expect of the director of the magical law enforcement agency. And then there's the magic. I have struggled in the past with identifying magic systems that I am interested in writing. A lot of my previous works have been really low on the magic because I just didn't feel like I had the chops to develop a completely unique magic system. This is my first real attempt, and I gotta say I'm a little bit nervous. To make my magic stand out, I have chosen to base it primarily on movements of the body. So in order to cast a spell, you have to actually physically move in order to summon the magical energy. There are two different components which I have termed somatic, which I learned from D&D, but it's not like somatic components like you think of in D&D. It is full body. You have to position your legs in a specific way and like position your feet in a specific way in order to tap into specific energies. And each spell has a unique movement of the arms and hands. I'm still fleshing that out. I've got like the basics down, but I'm not very physically thoughtful. I've never done a sport. I don't give a lot of thought to my own personal movements. So I'm sort of, the thing that has been the biggest struggle is coming up with the arm motions. My long-term plan after I get through this first draft is to start studying Tai Chi a little bit more closely and studying those movements to give myself an idea of how I want certain arm motions to be, and then just making them faster to account for like casting spells. But that is the crux of my magic system. It is largely based on physical movement. There are caveats, however. 5 specific different types of magic that aren't based on those somatic components. I have called them sensory magics because they are very loosely associated with the different senses. I'm not going to go into details on those because some of them are a little bit spoilery, but like I said, there are 5. Each one is very loosely based on the senses, and they play an important role in the story and in the larger context of the lore. And then there's the cult, which I'm not going to get too much into because it's kind of a major spoiler, but the cult is a group of magic users who, as many cults do, believe in their own superiority. And that's really all I can say without spoiling my long-term vision. And speaking of that long-term vision, I hate to say it, you guys, but I do plan on having a quite lengthy series. And I know that is a big no-no for a fledgling writer because you don't know if the first book is going to sell, much less 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But I have indeed enough story material planned out for 9 books in 3 distinct arcs, progressing in intensity as we go. One of the main things that is inspiring me for this format is the kind of like monster of the week style TV shows where there is a large plot every season, but a lot of episodes are more focused on like whatever the conflict of that week is. And while I can't obviously do that in a series of novels, that is kind of the vibe I'm going for, where each book has its own contained problem, and then each set of 3 books has its own mini arc, which builds on each other for a complete 9-book series. It's a lot. Some of my videos in that playlist I mentioned earlier goes into more detail about what my plans are, why I have chosen to format it in this way, and some of my ideas and how I plan to flesh it out. But I am pleased to say that the work that I did in my world building phase of writing this novel really helped me establish my long-term goals and the long-term plot. So yes, I have a plot for 9 books. It's not all fleshed out like the way this book is or even the next 2 books, but I know the main beats. I know the climax of Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. I know the main threads. I know how the plot is going to escalate in scope. So while it is a kind of a moonshot that this will ever get written, I know I have the material if the chance is offered to me. And I think that just about covers everything that's not a major spoiler. I gotta say, I'm really excited about this. As I mentioned earlier, I'm really heavily inspired by like Monster of the Week style TV shows like Supernatural. I've also taken inspiration from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I was really into like a decade ago. You can kind of tell with the secret government agency thing. But also I see elements of X-Files in this as well. Any of those kind of like weekly serials, I'm really inspired by. My main character, Araceli, has a really fun voice. She's kind of a brat. She's like very much looking out for herself. She is crusty and doesn't get along with anyone. She's determined to kind of make her own way. At the beginning, she's sort of blackmailed into coming to work for this agency because she got caught using magic when she wasn't supposed to be. And she really doesn't like it, but kind of secretly deep down, she's like so glad to have a community finally after living in hiding for so long. And there's just a lot of really great elements that I can't wait to complete writing and then edit and revise and edit again and hopefully one day bring out into the world. So thank you guys so much for coming with me on this journey. I hope you stick around and hopefully see it to its conclusion with a publication one day. But the most important thing is that vlogging this whole experience and making myself publicly accountable and sharing my enthusiasm and the story in this way as I am going through the process of writing it has actually been really inspiring and really fun and has brought some of the joy back into writing that I had lost over the last several years. I have mentioned it ad nauseum and I'll mention it one more time just in case you're brand new. I came back to writing the year that I turned 30, which was about 5 years ago. We're not going to talk about it. And unfortunately, in those 6 years, I only have completed 1 draft of 1 story that has since been shelved. And after that, I have struck out many, many times with other ideas hitting about the 25,000 word mark and then fizzling out. Last week, for the first time, I hit 25,000 words and then kept going. And for the first time, I actually have like a plan and I know what's happening and a detailed outline that I trust, and I don't feel scared or nervous about this middle part, and I've done the work to build the foundation upon which I'm writing. So I am in the best spot writing wise that I ever have been, and I credit the public nature of these vlogs and my whole journey of YouTube. So I just really appreciate anyone who is coming along on this journey, whether you're there from the beginning or whether you just followed me recently. I do So appreciate you. And that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate it. If you like my content and want to support the channel, please like and subscribe or leave a comment below. If you've made it all the way to this video, leave me a sunglasses emoji for all my secret government agents. In my next video, I will have a writing vlog for you. I have just gotten over the 25,000 word mark and I am scooting towards 30,000 and I'm so excited. I am just about to finally close out Act 1, which has been dragging on, but again, first draft. And I'm really excited to get into Act 2 of my 6-act structure, where my main character is going to be learning more about her magic and the history of the agency she just signed up to work for. I hope you look forward to it, and I will see you then. Bye.